Hey friends, this is Whiskey and Whit. I'm Whitney, and in today's video, we are celebrating Finn's first birthday. I cannot believe he is 1, but I wanted to give you guys a quick update. You've been here since the beginning of my pregnancy, so I wanted to show you a little bit more of the projects I DIY'd for his birthday party and also his first birthday celebration, so stay tuned. So for Finn's birthday, we went with the theme Bluey. And if you're not familiar with Bluey, it is a show that runs on Disney Junior here in the US, but it did originate through, I believe, the BBC in Australia. While it's such a cute show and it's starting to gain momentum here in the US, there are not a ton of like party kits that you can easily find places. So I had to DIY a lot of the decor, and I figured if I had to find and DIY some stuff, there would be other parents that would want to do that too. So I wanted to share some of the resources I found and the different DIYs that I made. Anything I do here can be changed or updated or tweaked so that it could fit whatever theme you want to do for your child. I'm going to kick this video off with some awesome free printables, some from me, some from the creators of Bluey. And I didn't realize this, but I found it on a hunt when I was trying to find some stuff to make for the party, and it's Bluey.tv. It is the website for Bluey out of Australia, and it has so many cool things. So even if you're not doing a party and your kids love Bluey, this is an awesome resource. So the first thing I did was find these cupcake toppers in this banner, and so all you do is click download. Everything will download for free. But I also found these really fun background removed PNGs of all of the characters. All you have to do is right click and save the image. So then I went over into Canva and used those to create my own cupcake toppers. So I created a new design, 8.5 by 11, which is the size of regular paper because I knew I wanted to print them out. And then I started with just a circle and changed the colors to what I wanted. Then I just uploaded these background removed little pictures of all the Bluey characters because there was only about 4 in what they offered, and so that's totally cool, but I wanted to add some of the like grandma and grandpa characters, the parents, etc. So once I added in little Bluey, then I added another circle so I could give my circle a border. I changed the colors based on what was in the image. You can also Google what's called a hex code, and you can find all of the specific color numbers for the Bluey colors if you're color like crazy and want to make sure everything matches. But then I just went through and copied them and just made little circles. I also purchased the Bluey font. I found it on Etsy for about $5, so I will link that down below. But then I just went through and you can drag and remove different images like I'm showing here. And here's my final result. So I did some happy first birthday Finn. I also inserted just a whole family picture into a circle as well. And I got them printed at my FedEx store. It was really cheap, but our printer is on the fritz, so you could easily print them at home. Our printer just doesn't like me. Then I just took some toothpicks from the Dollar Tree, some tape, and my little cutout circles, and I stuck them on there. I also happened to cut out some ones in some craft paper for the cupcakes on my Cricut, but that's totally optional. And then we just got some cupcakes from a local friend that makes them, and then I was just able to add the little toppers and make them look like they were custom Bluey cupcakes really quick and easily. Finn happened to have 2 birthday parties, so we did one with the blue and orange frosting. We did another party with just the white frosting, and so here's what they look like. They look really cute with his little DIY smash cake, which I will share how I made a little bit later in the video. And I just put them on this really cute wood rustic stand, and this thing I got recently at Marshall's for literally $19.99. So it was very cheap and affordable to display, and I'm going to use it for decor afterwards. Another something that you can create in Canva to print out is a framed sign. So I went and made a new design, which was 8 by 10. Then I went into Google. I found this image of the family dancing. So I uploaded that into Canva, and then I wanted to see if I could find a gradient that could potentially match the picture. So I went over to photos and searched gradient blue, went through all of them, and to my surprise, I found one that was a perfect match. You can't even tell. So then I went over to Elements and I just found a banner. I searched for banner, and some of the Canva elements you can change the colors, some you can't. This particular one I could, so I did orange, white, and a navy blue to match the family colors. And then I had uploaded the font that I purchased. So if you don't have Canva Premium, unfortunately you can't upload the font. However, you can probably do this pretty easily in Word or any other editing software that you have. So you could just download the font and then upload it to your system. Then I just downloaded it and I printed it out at Walgreens just as a photo. It's really the easiest thing. You could also print it out on your printer, but again, our printer is on the fritz. I really need to get a new one. Then I just popped it into a $4 frame from Walmart, and it was a nice little addition to the decor for the party. And finally, here's a quick look at that banner that I printed out. This directly came from that Bluey.tv site. I just printed it out on cardstock at FedEx and cut it out, punched some holes in it, and called it a day. It's so cute. You can make as many of these as you need, and they were really quick and easy to add some Bluey fun to the party. I created this monthly photo banner for all of his pictures from birth to 1 year. And I saw this online, a variation of it, and they were charging a lot more than I wanted to spend. So I thought I could DIY this with my Cricut. And I also then used the same technique to create these really fun, personalized thank you notes. So to do this in Design Space, I started by creating a shape. I did a square, unlocked it, and then made it 4.5 wide by 6.5 tall. I wanted to use 4x6 pictures. If you want to do 5x7, you absolutely can. You're just going to want to do 5.5 by 7.5. That's what gives you that frame around the outside. Then I just used the default font in Design Space and added the word month and then months sequentially. So I could do 1 month and then 2 months, 3 months, etc. So what I'm doing here is selecting my 2 different pieces, the shape and the font, and then I'm going down to the right and clicking weld. What that's doing is telling Cricut that I want to cut it as one piece instead of a square and a font. Now, the only way that this won't work for you is if your letters aren't touching the shape. So make sure that the letters are touching the shape. And then I did the same thing with the number 1. I went through the fonts and figured out one that gave me the size of number that I wanted. And once I found that, I selected both my number 1 and my welded together month and shape. And then I welded that together. So all 3 pieces then became one piece. And the welding basically is just like, if you work in Photoshop, it's flattening your layers. And again, you want to make sure that one is centered and also it's touching at least one of the letters. The more touch points you have, the stronger your piece is going to be. So then I continued that process with all of the different months. So I welded one together. So I had a piece that said months, and then I just added the different numbers going through all of the months. And then when I got to the end, I created one that said Finn, March 4th, and then the picture, and then 2020. And I just had to resize that. So the March 4th and the 2020 were the width of that 4.5 inches that I was going for. So then once everything was put together and welded, then I went through and cut it, and I just made sure to select on my materials that I was using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper instead of a 12 by 12. I just had this brown craft paper left over actually from our wedding. So it was nice. This was free in my basement, but you can get the cardstock cheap at Michael's or somewhere. Just get a pack and can cut it out. And I barely even put a dent in this pack making all the things that I did. So after I cut them all out, here's what they look like. And I should have probably done this process on the Cricut, but I didn't think about it. And I needed some way to attach the pictures to the banner. So I went through with my hobby knife and just gave 2 separate corners, just a quick little slice, I guess. I don't know what the best term is. I created little flaps just so that I could stick in the 2 corners like you're seeing here so that it would stick on there, but then also I could take the pictures off and use them later for something else if I wanted to. Then I just took a hole punch, and another thing you could probably do just on the Cricut, but I didn't think about it. I punched holes in all of them, 2 holes, so that I could string it up. Now, I'm so thankful that my sister-in-law is a genius and did this white shirt on the same background with my nephew, so that other than his first month, I had some exact comparisons. Another one of his aunts gave him these blocks, one of my really good friends, and so we were able to kind of mark each month, and I, thank goodness, remembered to take all of these pictures. You could obviously do whatever pictures that you want, but I liked this. I also think this could be a really cute idea if you're doing a graduation party, or you could even do this for a wedding for the different ages of the couple. There's a lot of different things that you could do for this banner, but cheap and easy, especially because you can create it right in Design Space yourself. And I really love how this turned out and how everyone was able to kind of see where he made changes and where he grew the most throughout his time. And these thank you notes are very similar to what I did with the banner, except for instead of welding letters on, I sliced them out of the inside. So it's the same size, 4.5 by 6.5. I added some slits within Cricut, but you could also do the hobby knife so that I could pop pictures in. So I just printed a ton of pictures off of Finn here next to Bluey at his party so we could send them. I also was able to make some really personalized with photos that we took at the party. So different pictures of him with my parents, with Alex's parents and grandparents, my brother and his wife, things like that. So I love that they can pop the picture out and keep that along with a thank you note message on the back. Now, these were my favorite project that I made for his whole party. Finn absolutely loved them, and they're these large cutouts of the 2 main characters of the show, Bluey and Bingo. Now, this is something you could do for any character that your kid likes. I've seen people also make these for the walls of their kids' rooms. This is just how you can make anything bigger than your 12 by 12 or 12 by 24 mat. So for this project, we're just going to assume that you have a 12 by 12 mat. If you have a 12 by 24 mat, then I will explain kind of what you can do as we go. But what you're going to want to do is get an SVG file, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphic, of whatever character you want. So I got these off of Etsy. So I will link it down below. If you purchase the specific one that I got, then you will have both PNGs, SVGs, all the different kind of files. So you're going to want to upload the SVG file as well as the PNG file. The PNG file is going to be the black outline like you saw here, and then the SVG is going to be all of your different layers with the different colors. So one's going to be your background, so you know kind of where everything goes for your puzzle and when you assemble, and then the front is going to be all the different color cardstock you cut out to make it look like Bluey. So the first thing I did was go through and make both files 36 inches tall. I decided that was approximately, it was a little bit taller than Finn, but I thought that was going to be a good size for scale for him, that it felt like life-size Bluey. So then I decided that I was going to cut with my 12 by 12 mat, like I mentioned, but you could also do this with 12 by 24. You're going to select on the left-hand side, shapes, and insert a square. Now for a 12 by 12 mat, I ended up doing 11.5 inches by 11.5 inches so that your machine, recognizes that you are going to be cutting a 12 by 12 mat. And the reason I do 11.5 is because you really can't cut all the way to the edge. I mean, you can, but we're going to keep it simple here. If you're doing 12 by 24, then you are going to want a rectangle that is 11.5 inches wide by 12.5 inches long. But we're going to work with these 11.5 inch squares. So then you're going to go through and duplicate this image side by side so that it covers your entire Bluey at the size you want to cut it. And what we're doing is we're basically cutting out mat size chunks of Bluey, so then that way the machine can cut it and then you can assemble it back together. And while I'm doing this, I'm using both the align and the arrange feature up here on the top. Align will allow you to make sure everything is centered so you cut in the right way. And arrange is going to let you move your squares and your Bluey outline either in front of each other or behind each other so it's easier to work with. Once I have all my squares laid out, including this one at the top on the ears, then I am going to go through and do a process called slicing. So I'm going to select one of the squares as well as the huge Bluey cutout. So you're going to have two files selected. You can do that by hitting Shift, or you can drag and select both. And I'm going through selecting them and then hitting slice. When you slice, it's going to give you three different outputs. It's going to give you the original piece duplicated as well as it cut out of that square. So basically, of the three, you just need to keep the piece that looks like Bluey. So you're going to have a cutout, a second piece of Bluey, and then the actual piece that you want. So if you follow me doing this here, I'm cutting those pieces out. So then once I did that, then I removed the body outline of Bluey because I'm going to have a black outline in the background anyway. So that is going to eliminate the need to cut out the black twice, which is also going to be her eye, which looks kind of funky now, but it will be fine. And then the last step is to find if there's any pieces of the actual Bluey that you are going to need to slice. And for this particular one, it's only the center piece that I'm pulling out here. So I'm going to do the same process, make my 11.5 by 11.5 square and slice these down so my machine has it in bite-sized pieces so that I can cut it. Then once you get ready, you click Make up in the right-hand corner and it will lay out everything for you. Now, something to also keep in mind, do this before you head to the store. I went and blindly bought a bunch of cardstock and I had a lot left over. If you do this ahead of time, you'll know, okay, I need 3 sheets of blue, maybe get 4 so in case you screw one up, because I screwed one up and that was operator error. But that way it helps you. So that's a tip, head to the store beforehand. So then it was time to cut. So I just followed all of the prompts. I used my blue mat, which is light grip for cardstock, as well as my Cricut spatula so that I can peel things up off the mat without it getting rolled and icky. And then as you can see here, I ended up actually cutting my Bluey outline on some like 8.5 by 11, but I didn't want to confuse everyone. So you can do that and make 8.5 by 11 cutouts like I showed you there, but we just kept it simple for this video. That's why there's a lot more pieces to mine. Taped everything on the back, and then it was just basically like a big adult puzzle. Went through, laid out all of my pieces, made sure everything was set, and I just followed the image of the PNG, or just look at the Bluey picture in the package that you ordered from Etsy. And then I just used a regular glue stick to stick it down. I would not recommend Mod Podge because I tried that on a different one and it got really wrinkly. And also, I would recommend spray adhesive if you have it and it makes it easier. I would definitely recommend spray adhesive for this next step. But the glue stick worked just fine, and it was nice because if I made an error, like if I stuck it down thinking it was going somewhere and it actually wasn't, I could peel it back and it wasn't a huge deal. Then once Bluey was all ready to go, I traced on some Dollar Tree foam board and used my Arteza hobby knife just to cut out on the outside. Added some more glue, but spray adhesive would work great here too, just so for an even coverage. And then I added a couple other pieces as well as a kickstand on the back to make sure that it was nice and sturdy. All I did was take just a scrap strip of that foam board, stick it to the top, and then on the bottom of the kickstand, I added just a strip of hot glue, let it dry, and that will grip the floor so your little Bluey figurines don't fall over. I did the same thing to create a Bingo. I just made Bingo a little smaller. Bingo's 28 inches. And I also made a big number 1. These were a huge hit at the party and they were super fun to make. Now here's a DIY that's a little bit outside of my comfort zone, but it was really easy to do, and it's this healthy-ish smash cake. So I got the recipe for this off of Eating Bird Food, so I will link her blog post down below. But it just starts with some of these spring pans. I got them at Hobby Lobby, and I sprayed them with some Pam, and I preheated my oven to 350. Now this is a more banana muffin or banana bread type cake, and I just wanted to cut back on the extra sugar because the frosting has enough sugar in it. So I just mashed together 2 bananas, added 2 eggs, a little bit of cinnamon, a splash of vanilla, and some baking powder, and mix that all together to create my very simple base. Then this recipe is with almond flour, so I just added in small chunks the almond flour and mixed it up. Now the cool thing about this is you could do all of this in the blender, but Finn is very scared of the blender, so I did it by hand, so you could do it either way. So then I just evenly separated my batter into the 3 little spring pans. You don't have to do 3. That's what she did on Eating Bird Food, so I just decided to follow it. And you want to make sure that you tap the bottom of your pan before you bake them. That's how you're going to get the flat cakes that you're going to be able to stack. Then they go in the oven for about 20 minutes, and once they come out, they look really good. Your house smells really good, and they taste really good. I taste tested these too. So I made the actual little bread cakes the day before the party, and I frosted it the morning of the party. So I just threw them in a Ziploc bag overnight and let them hang out. Then I used just regular store frosting. I am not a baker to like make my own icing. If you're that fancy, more power to you, have at it. So I mixed up the frosting just to get it kind of loose, I guess, and warmed up. And then I started to put a little bit on the cake stand just so I can start stacking. Then I just added some frosting in between each layer and then started adding it on the outside. I'm just using a little small regular knife that I have. Like I said, I'm not a baker, so I don't have all of these utensils at home, and I really didn't want to buy all of the cake baking stuff when I'm not going to do this a lot. So it was really easy, especially because it's a smash cake, to just do it this way. So then I cleaned off my cake tray, and then it was time to make some blue frosting. So I just added some gel food coloring and then made a makeshift little frosting bag out of a Ziploc bag. I put some into the corner, just snipped off a little edge, nothing fancy. And I went through and just added what I saw fit. I just kind of wung it, to be honest. I did some dots along the bottom, and like, granted, like, this is not going to win any like Food Network cake awards, but I was happy that I kind of could control what was in it. I could quickly decorate it. Then once I was done with the light blue, I just added a little bit more white frosting as well as some more food coloring to make it a darker blue. And then I did the same thing with the Ziploc bag as a little frosting bag. I put it around my hand, as you can see, filled it up because you want to get your frosting as close to that tip as you can so it doesn't all stick to the bag and you waste a lot of it. Then I put it in the fridge for about 30 minutes just for the frosting to kind of set up. Then to finish off the look, I just added a little one candle from Walmart, and then he had this little Bluey figurine that he got as a gift. So I added it to the top. You can get those at Walmart, Target, Amazon, etc. But then it looked like a Bluey cake, and it was super easy to put together. And it really did enjoy it, and the blue food coloring was only a mildly bad mom decision. First kid, didn't think about it, but it is what it is.
Happy birthday to you.
I also wanted to do a quick Finn update here at the end, just to kind of round out this first year of updates for Finn. We just recently went to the doctor, and everything is progressing great for him in this first year. He's actually 27 pounds and 33 inches long. So both of those put him in the 99th percentile. So we know that he is a big guy, but he's thinned out a lot with all of the crawling that he's doing. No walking yet, but he is really standing on his own. And I think he'll be walking really within the next couple weeks, if I had to guess. With all that growth, he's wearing 18 months to 24 month clothes, so he's a little ahead of the pack there, but he's still in his size 4 diapers. So that's about where he's been as far as growing. He's been a ton of fun now that he's really gotten into playing and wanting to move around and kind of also play with Alex and I. That's been fun. And for his 1-year birthday, he got 2 gifts from LovEvery, and I've shared them in pretty much every update that I've had with Finn. We absolutely love their products. They've sent these to Finn, but I have purchased gifts for starting at the 3-month box for friends. We actually just sent one to a close friend of ours from college. They just had a little girl, and so they received a box from us. So I absolutely love these. They are designed for multiple months, so they start right away, so you can buy them as gifts or you can do a subscription on your own. And what I love about them is that they are made for learning. So these are created by experts. They are beautiful, well designed. A lot of them are wood toys, and it gives them things that really fit where they are developmentally at that stage in life. all of the different playthings that LovEvery creates, whether that be the boxes or their block set that Finn also got, which he's loving. They are made with sustainable, organic, and natural materials. So they're both good for your kid and good for the planet. And because Finn puts literally everything in his mouth right now because he's getting all of his teeth, that is huge for me that I know that it is safe. Each box also comes with a little instruction manual, which is nice for me as a parent, so I'm able to know what to do with each of the toys and what he's working on with each item. So a huge thank you to LovEvery for sending these to Finn for his first birthday. We do love them, and I will link more information down below if you're interested in checking them out. Thank you so much for watching and for all the support of our family throughout the past 2 years from the start of my pregnancy through till now. I so appreciate all of the kind words and the comments you leave when you ask how Finn is doing. We are so thankful to have such a supportive community here on my channel. So thank you. We appreciate you so much, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!